Street Center has been serving the children, youth, and families of the Seattle King County area since 1910. We partner with services and support for all marginalized people. Learn more at AtlanticStreetCenter.org.
Rainier Avenue Radio presents All Music, All Day Saturday. Music, all day Saturday.
This is Edwin Bailey, Bulldog Blue.
Jazz from the Cabinets.
That's right. It's time once again for Jazz from the Cabinets with Big Poppy.
Start Time.
Thanks for tuning in. My name is Paul Pierce.
This is Start Time. Saturdays, all music, all day. Reggae Hour, K-Fox Night.
Looking for the perfect beat? Yeah, it's the beat of the box.
Fresh Juice with D-Money in there.
Myself, D-Money.
Nice Ice Patron.
Taylor Hart.
This is Spencia, the Northwest Rap Gang.
DJ Medina. Chad Cheddar.
Come on.
Northwest Rat Gang.
Sergio Lacour's Love Line.
It's Sergio's Love Lines with Sergio LaCour. Go to the phone line. Tell them who we
Sea Monster Radio. Mo Jams is your jam.
We're live. Welcome to Mojo Mondays. This is KZ of KZ Music Media. Caller Goddess for Mojo Mondays.
Just my opinion, God is inspiration all day and all night. Saturdays on Rainier Avenue Radio.org. What is the Delta variant? It's a faster, more efficient version of the original virus that causes COVID-19. It's the same virus, it's just better at infecting people. Delta is far more contagious than its predecessors. It's spreading twice as quickly as the original strain, and people who are infected with it carry around much more virus. Getting vaccinated is the best defense we have against COVID-19, including against the Delta variant. Check this out. The vaccine is free, safe, and effective. Time to protect yourself is now. Learn more at kingcounty.gov/vaccine.
This is Paul Pearson, host of Star Time. And when I'm not helping bad girls set up their websites, I'm listening to Rainier Avenue Radio.world.
Welcome to Real Estate and Money, a half-hour program on Rainier Avenue Radio.world designed to help you whether you're a buyer, seller, investor, or renter in real estate. Your hosts are two local professionals who will escort you on your journey. Violeta Strash, who has years of media advertising and marketing experience and brings this extensive knowledge to John L. Scott Real Estate and all our clients. And Tina Lombard, who is a mortgage loan originator with Guaranteed Rate Affinity, with over 28 years of experience. And now here's Violeta and Tina.
Uh-oh. I don't hear Tina.
Okay.
Oh,
Can you hear
boy.
me?
Yes.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Real Estate and Money. And you can see I'm Tina Lombard. I'm one of your hosts. And we have Violeta Strash, and she's in the pumpkin patch right now, probably diving for a pumpkin. That's why she's not on the screen. But anyways, thank you for joining our show today. We're going to be talking about interior designing. We're going to be talking about how to get your house prepped for the holidays and prepped for spring. So in case you want to call in, we have phone numbers for you. One phone number I'm going to give you is 206-717-4490. Once again, 206-717-4490. And that's to call us outside the show. And you're welcome to go ahead and call us on the numbers you see on the screen. Well, just to recap why Violeta is getting set, it is National Filipino Historic Month. So for all of my fellow Pinoys out there, congratulations on another year. Congratulations on being such an integral part of America's history. Thanks for always your support and doing whatever you can to help promote our community and to promote the community as a whole. So without any further ado, we're going to start getting right into interior designs. Now, what's really important about interior designs is if, you go into a house and you need it to be more functional. If you go into a house, you need to have more, more designs, more inspiration, at least bring the house up or uplift it. Interior design actually can help you achieve a lot of goals regarding your house, the tranquility of their house, the protectiveness of your house, just how your overall feeling is within the house. So today we have a very special guest, and I believe he is in the studio. Danielle, am I correct? He's in the studio with us right now? Great. Hi, Mark. How are you? Great. So, Mark, I think you're muted right now, but while Daniel turns you on, he is a professor at Bellevue Community College, and he's an associate professor of interior design. Mark, thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate the opportunity to chat with all of you.
Yeah. So just really quick, we want to tease people and letting them know why interior design is so important. You can't just come to your house and just throw something against the wall and hope it sticks. But why is interior design so important?
Well, it's important because, well, first, I think that there's a difference between interior design and interior decoration. Okay. And so those two are very different ideas. And interior design is really about the interior architecture of the house and the spatial sort of experience that we have. Now, decor is a big part of that. Color, light, accessories, all of those things really make a big difference in the user experience of that space. So whether it's residential or commercial, interior design is important because we spend probably 90% of our lives inside, right?
Yes, absolutely.
So it's got to be comfortable to work in. It's got to be beautiful. It's also got to be safe for everyone. So.
Yeah. So, a lot of people think of interior design as that's something that you can manipulate in a house that was already built. I mean, if you buy a house for a location, but the inside of it is not really going well. So tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, I have had background in doing residential work, and a lot of my work was remodels actually for residents. Okay. And, that's always very difficult because sometimes you have a house that has great bones and maybe has a history there, but you feel guilty about sort of taking it all away and everything like that. And so there's that sort of kind of battle that as an owner or as a designer, you have to work with each other to kind of think about, is it appropriate to honor the history of the space that you're in? Sometimes get rid of it. Not safe, pretty ugly. I mean, there's a lot of criteria that could happen there, but it's really important that, right now the trend in a lot of sort of residential work, especially if you have an older, very, very old home or so, is to have this sort of contrast between old and new. And it's actually really poetic. If you can get the right architect and designer on board that has this right aesthetics to kind of merge those two ideas together. And there's a lot of beautiful projects out there. But sometimes...
So, for an example, you're talking about, for example, if there's some houses like on Queen Anne, and it's like the turn of the century, yes. That sort of thing. So you want to honor the decor, which is within the neighborhood, but then you want to upgrade it. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah. And then that can take place in the interior. It can also take place in the exterior as well, too, landscaping. But also, architects and designers can also use new types of materials to create that kind of contrast, either on the exterior or on the interior. Sometimes it's really nice to be surprised. You might see something really old and then walk in and it's completely, modern and refreshing.
Okay. So when you go into a house, you have, there's some people who are doing interior design because they're rebuilding. Something has been completely torn down. They have to rebuild. And some people are doing interior design by choice because it's not functional for this day and time.
Right.
So how do you decide between the two? And when is the red flag or when the light turns on when you really should be calling up an interior designer?
Yeah. I think that first, it really needs to be functional. I think form and function is something that we learn in design school and that I teach my students is that, yes, it has to be aesthetically pleasing, but it has to work, right? And so making sure that your spaces flow, maybe that it's tending to the needs of your current situation or in the future, you might need a family or room for a family for growth and things like that, or you might have too much space. So and you as a person change. And so it's really important to understand who you are and where you're going and designing your spaces around that. When it involves structural, because my background's in architecture but I did mostly interior architectural work. So I was doing both interior design and architecture at the same time. So for me, those two are they work hand in hand. If you have a good architect, if you're doing something that needs a lot of structural work, moving things, it's very important to get an architect on board to make sure that you can do those things. Obviously, they'll work with a structural engineer. And then I think that the interior architecture or the decor part, that can be layered in. And usually an architect and interior designer work together on a team. Make sure that they work with your client to make sure that they're doing the right things.
Right. And I think, like nowadays, I mean, you find a nice house in a nice neighborhood that's been there over 100 years, and you really want that neighborhood. But, you go into the kitchen's really small now. And I mean, it was very small back then.
Yes.
And, it's cornered off. And now people going in, they're tearing out walls and they're moving islands around, that sort of thing. Now, is that something that you can go to, like, let's say a Home Depot? Or is that something where you should really talk to an interior designer because it's more than just putting in a new island?
That's really a tough one because cost is always on everyone's minds, right? So when you're hiring a professional, you're obviously going to pay a little bit more, but you're also going to get, I would say, a better relationship where you are able to kind of express yourself a little bit more. And if they're a good designer, they're going to listen to you, but they're also going to give their advice. And that's what they are as professionals. Sometimes it is appropriate to do small things, and you can go to Home Depot and either do them yourselves or have someone there kind of help you. IKEA also has some great product as well that, you can go to their kitchen studio and they have some really great work. It really depends on aesthetics, honestly. And I mean, I only go to Home Depot for certain things, so I don't really, it's not my sort of design go-to, but like if pinch and cost is an issue and it's like, okay, there's this, tile here that we can probably use, moving things around. But once you start to do structural issues, it's really important to make sure that you have professionals like an architect or an interior designer to be on your side.
Well, see, this is what I'm saying, Mark. It's like I can go to Home Depot and get some stuff, but the rest of my house, is it going to match? I mean, I could cut the cost and go to like a Home Depot for my choice, let's say. Right. But then the flooring, it doesn't match the stairs, it doesn't match this and that. Yeah. And so I end up spending thousands of dollars, tens of thousands of dollars on top of that. Yes. So, I mean, it's like, yeah, you can do it, but talk to us. I mean, seriously, like if I were to do my kitchen again, I'd rip out the hickory floor, but then I want to do the living room, then I want to do the staircase. Yeah. I mean, it all runs into each other. So when can you tell us where the balance is, where you can say I can do it at home, or I really need help for everything?
It depends on the project scope, and everything touches everything, right? And so spaces do bleed into each other. Once again, it's about the user experience. If you understand how you want the flow to move in your spaces and how how you want to experience them, or how your family wants to experience them, that's really, really important. Aesthetically, yes, you're probably going to want to think about the holistic idea of the house. I mean, and also think about if you are going to sell the place, you're going to have mixed, you don't want that mixed and match look throughout the house. You want to make sure that you are telling your own story throughout the house, but also in the future, if you're going to sell it, that those people won't have to spend the money and, have to redo everything that you just did, So I think that it's a tough one, Tina. I think it really depends on the scope and how much of it. The scope. I mean, if it's a small bathroom remodel, that's really easy. You can easily do that yourself. But also think about the quality of construction. I mean, are you really wanting to sit there spending your weekends doing tile work or paint? I don't know. I have other things. Other things to work on. Right, exactly. So I have other things to work on. I would trust someone as a designer to really sort of organize the process so that you can be a little bit more hands off and learning to let go and leave it to the professionals to help you.
So this is really something because where my mother used to live, and there are certain neighborhoods in Seattle where you can't tear down the whole house.
Yes.
So you can build around it. So the house that I grew up in, it was built in 1914. And then the previous owner actually built around it in the 60s and the 70s. Mm-hmm. So they actually had the laundry room right in the middle of the main bathroom, which was always a nightmare. So when we went to go sell the house a couple of years ago, they're like, why is the laundry room, why is the washer and dryer in the main bathroom? It didn't make any sense, but the whole house was built around a house built in 1914. So that's when we really needed an interior designer. So my mother tried to do a basement, and she wanted to do it modern, but there was just no way. Doing it by yourself does not work. No. So talk to us about some houses that you see where they've got that law that you cannot tear the whole thing down.
It depends on certain neighborhoods. I was on the City of Seattle Design Review Board for Capitol Hill, the university area, Central District. And I'm speaking more in a commercial sense with my past experience. There are preservation rules that need to make sure that you keep the neighborhood intact, right? And you have to go through a process. And any developer that's doing any mixed use housing or there's new condos and new townhouses that are being built, you see that popping up, and they're very modern looking, and they can contrast with like an old house next door to it. They go through a design process with the city that the architect developer goes to, and they do those meetings to make sure that the house is, that it works, and that it actually fits into the neighborhood. I guess going back to your question about the it is a real balance. Sometimes you really need to sort of start over again, because sometimes it is just better to recreate a story of the house in a functional way and in an aesthetic way that makes sense, that you can sell it, that you can live in it, and all of that stuff. So, like, once again, it is a balance. That's why I think working with the designer is really important, so that you can get that taken care of.
So who usually comes to you? Do you have real estate agents come to you, or is it customers, or is it builders? I mean, who comes to you?
For work, I guess when I was doing residential work, my boss at the time was really connected with a lot of people. So it was word of mouth, actually.
Okay.
Yeah, and it was word of mouth. And there's a lot of work going on right now, even though we have some issues with supply chain and materials. There is a lot of work going on. I know in the commercial industry there is, and also in residential. So there's a lot of new design firms out there, young design firms that are doing small types of work that are really looking to do, get their feet running and doing the work. So there is quite a bit of opportunities out there to work with designers.
That's great.
Well, I'm going to jump in and just say really quick, if none of this works for you, call me up. We'll go find a house. On break.
It really depends. Aesthetics. I mean, staging your house, that's really important too. Sometimes I see a lot of, I'm looking for a place. I'm not looking here in Seattle. I'm actually looking in Portugal, actually. But that's another story that we can talk about. And I look at some of the staging ideas, and that's actually a design industry, a field that a lot of my students also work in, is staging. And it is really important, because not to say that looks is everything. It is actually, when you have to market something, what you're selling. So making sure that you're staging it the way that you think people want to live, but also without, making sure that you're staging it that it feels like someone created magic in their house, so that it feels like, oh, I want to buy that, because that looks good. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay, let's go on a little break, and then we'll come back with Mark. Okay.
Tune into Real Estate and Money every Tuesday afternoon from 2:30 to 3 here on Rainier Avenue Radio.world. Join your hosts Violeta Strash with John L. Scott Kent North and Tina Lombard with Guaranteed Rate Affinity. They'll help you navigate the waters of our volatile real estate market and offer you some guidance on how to make your hard-earned money work to make your dreams come true. Learn about current trends, get tips on financial matters, and have fun, interactive discussions about your home inside and out. That's Real Estate and Money.
Okay. So,
well, I was talking to Mark a little bit ago about, what are people looking for right now? What are the trends? Where are they looking? And I was in downtown Seattle looking at a condo for some clients, and it was interesting. Yeah, they had the washer and dryer, stacking washer and dryer in the bathroom. Yeah, it's a 1 bedroom, 1 bathroom. It's in the bathroom, or it was out in the hall. But they, the designers are utilizing the space, right, as best as they can. And and then as far as looking for a place, Mark, downtown Seattle, more towards the Seattle center, I was saying I'm seeing a lot of millennials out there. The buyers are millennials. They work in the business district of Seattle, and then they work in the tech companies in Lake Union, right? Amazon. is out there. So what these guys are looking for, what, Mark? Minimal kind of living? Do they live in their homes? They need
Well, if they're
As many people.
Well, if they're working in tech, they're probably going to be home. So living comfortably is really important. Walkability is so important, especially here in Seattle. Density, there's an interesting article that I just read about how millennials are pooling together their finances, friends that are pulling their resources together and buying together. So we're changing the whole model. Millennials are changing the idea of how we're living. And I will say that the idea of density, which is being, it's important. I mean, I like living on Capitol Hill. I need to be around this density. The rooms and spaces are also going to reflect that density because there isn't a lot of room to spread out.
Yeah.
We don't have 3-car garages because we walk everywhere. I need to be near restaurants. I need to be near retail. I need to be near public transportation. So a lot of things are changing towards that sort of living in this sort of denser environments that are important. But there's also a trend of people sort of escapism and people wanting to buy in the countryside, or somewhere that is connected to nature, because this pandemic and sort of what we've been going through with a lot of political and cultural changes right now, it's really taking a toll on a lot of people. And so we really want to live in a place that's probably more safer or connected to nature. I think a lot of things that we teach at the school and what we do in our design practices is really to think about being in tune with nature and bringing that nature in your home as well too. So natural light is very important. The orientation of your house is very important. The way the spaces that you use them, how they're important with natural light. And so all of that kind of plays to sort of being aware of who you are. And I think that with the demographics changing, you're probably going to find a lot more younger people that are probably more in tune with what they need, rather than what they think they should need based on what their parents probably told them they should need.
Yeah.
I don't see a lot of millennials going out to, Mill Creek or Issaquah by choice. No.
Okay. And here's the other thing I want to talk about. It's Filipino, what is it, Tina?
Heritage Month. Yeah.
Heritage Month.
Mm-hmm.
And so in these 1-bedroom, 1-bathroom apartments or condos, you can probably fit 20 Filipinos in there. That's how we roll.
Or at least 12.
Yeah.
And so, Mark, talk about the Filipino home and is it cool to still have the wooden fork and spoon in your dining room?
That, learning to embrace your culture is very important. I always tell my students that. I think it is also important to think about your culture and respect it in a way. I think growing up, the Filipino home, growing up, gosh, this can get deep. When you're young and you don't understand your culture very well, it's very easy to sort of, say, I don't want any part of it. And that you want your house to be as modern as you want it to be. And that's, which is very non-Filipino, right? And so I think it's really important to strike a balance between hoarding, which is very common in Filipino homes.
Yeah, you said it.
Just to put it out there, hoarding and cultural sort of like, tchotchke things. But, this can go in many different directions, but I think it's appropriate to celebrate your culture. I also think that it's important to make sure that it feels like you're celebrating it and not using it as a prop to, I don't know. It's a tough one. I think
it's something like, for me, my Filipino heritage, it's like we want to have proximity to the kitchen.
Yes.
The bedrooms, we're always eating, and to have an open concept because we're always eating. We have friends over, so it's a very social setting.
Yes.
That sort of thing. And then the outside. My mother was always into plants. We always had to have plants.
Same.
To have a terrarium or something like that, an outside sunroom or something. I mean, that was one of the things I have to have a sunroom. I have to be outside because I have to plant tomatoes, in the living room.
Gardening is a big one with the Filipino community because, our culture is really all about land and food. And it's, when you don't have that access, it's really hard to represent, and I think that there's also a trend with nature. And so I think that there's an opportunity to sort of rethink the Filipino home as being closer to nature.
Yes, yes, definitely. And, and the thing is, I joke about it a lot, but there's a lot of socializing. And there's a lot of parties associated with Filipino families. We have to have a big enough living room and dining room to actually throw our social parties.
Agreed.
That's a must. It has to be.
And also rooms, I will say rooms for sleeping and living. And because, Filipinos also have large families. You might have your uncle who's visiting or is going to stay with you for a while or, and things like that. Your titas and, all of that kind of stuff. You need to have room for all that. You always think of the Filipino space as crowded, colorful, probably smelly.
You got a good cook.
Yeah, right. And then there's always going to be, 12 disciples looking down on you, as making sure that you're eating all your food. So there's a lot of symbolism, I think, in Filipino homes that I think we can still take with us, as we sort of celebrate our culture.
Yeah, it's something because I live over here across the street. I've got a Filipino family, they've got a boat and they've got 5 cars, we've got a hot rod, the Mercedes, the Lexus, 15 different cars, but there's different, but that sort of thing, when I look and I tell my real estate agents, this is what I look for in my home. It's huge. The interior of the home is basically even more important than the exterior.
Yes, because we spend all of our time inside, and we have social norms that we do inside our houses that are common. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. So, V, do we have anything else that we have to?
Yeah, I just wanted to. I told Mark too that when you go sell your house, make sure you're not cooking bagoong and fish in your home.
Candles, always candles. Candles.
Okay.
Yes, candles and a good photographer.
Yes.
And then really quick, Mark. So I know you're a professor at Bellevue. Really quick, talk about your profession really quick in case we have some young Pinoys and Pinoys out there who want to go into interior design. What can you tell us in 30 seconds would be a good advice?
Thank you. This has been, I've been teaching, I've been working in the industry for 12 years. I've done a lot of work ranging residential to commercial to aviation work. And, I've been teaching for about 10 years now, and I'm now full-time tenured instructor. So what's important, I think, about going into design school is that it is our student population is very diverse, and especially in the interior design program, I'm seeing a lot more BIPOC students in our program. It's just really great, and a lot of Filipino students as well too. And as we're growing up and Filipino, your parents are like, you're not doing that. You're doing nursing. You're doing engineering. You're doing not anything creative. And I would say that it is very important that you are a creative person, that you really honor that. And, the design industry, we need more representation. That did not happen with me. I lived in Anchorage, Alaska, and I went to college in Montana, and not having that sort of educational mentorship at that sort of representational level, visibility of anyone that looked like me, that was really hard, and now times are different, and especially I'm in a much more diverse area. But if students are very interested in being creative, design, whether it be interior design, architecture, graphics, environmental, industrial, all of those creative fields, we need more BIPOC students. So we need more diversity and more visibility.
Thank you. Very well said, Mark.
Yeah.
Very well
Oh, Mark,
said. Thank you so
or
much.
actually, Daniel, you had his Mark's email address in case people want to get a hold of him. It is Mark M. Mappala at bellevuecollege.edu, right?
Yeah, it's mark.mappala. Yep, at bellevuecollege.edu.
There it is.
Right.
There you go. So thank you, Mark. Real quick, I want to just say I'm sorry I didn't join in early enough. I had some issues I needed to take care of, but this was a great conversation. We hope you can come back again and talk some more, maybe not about the Filipinos, but
yeah.
you can talk some more.
We should always talk
What
about
else are we talking about, V? What else are we talking about?
What else?
I
We have to
know.
talk. we have to talk about some chismes. We've got to do
Yes, that's right. We'll get Joey on, and we'll have a really fun Joey Jagod. He's on with us every month, and the four of us could have a great conversation about everything. But okay, so housekeeping. Right after the show, we have a rerun of Resistencia on Rainier Avenue Radio at 3 p.m. And we'll be broadcasting the Seattle Prep at Rainier Beach Metro League high school football for the regular season finale game Saturday at 4 p.m. And also the live debate for Seattle City Council position number 9 on Wednesday at 7 p.m. Thanks again, everybody. It was a great show, Mark. Thank you for joining us. Tina, love you to pieces. And I will see everybody again at 2:30 next week. Bye.
You've been listening to Real Estate and Money with your hosts, Violeta, Strash, and Tina Lombard. For more information, call 206-717-4490. That's 206-717-4490. Go to the Rainier Avenue Radio.world website to find the Real Estate and Money schedule, or tune in to our live show every Tuesday afternoon from 2:30 to 3. We will help you find your dream home.